heard me talking about my tattoos, but not this one. I didn't have this one. I had this back in August of this year. And this is the story of this tattoo and why this tattoo is so important in my life. And it's all about how I discovered that I love walking. And I love walking in places like Sarah was talking about earlier on. I love to explore nature. It gives me all these things. But it wasn't always about that for me. Walking was basically how I avoided this. In the past, it was how I got home from the pub without risking my driving license. And it was how I got up the stairs to go to bed and how I moved around from place to place. But it was not anything significant. And then in 2005, my brother, who's the one on the right here in this suit, that's Tim, who just spoke. His t-shirt was clean, it's just a dirty photo. But that brother there is Richard, and he died. And after Richard died, I was lost. We were all completely lost. And I used to spend hours sitting around the table drinking tea with my mum. And we became really close. I kind of clung on to my mum to help me get through this. There's my beautiful mum there. And one day, I got a bit fed up of endless cups of tea and sadness. And I said, Mum, please will you take me for a walk? And my legs didn't know what was going on. I had no idea what I was letting myself in for. We walked up a mountain. I nearly died. But I actually, by the time I got to the top of this mountain, I'd fallen in love. I'd fallen in love with the valley that I live in, that I'd grown up in. I'd fallen in love with walking, and I'd fallen in love with being in nature. And it gave me this amazing tool for healing. And it became my bereavement therapy. It became the thing I did when I was feeling so overwhelmed and so kind of crushed by life that I didn't know what else to do. I would go out onto the mountains and I would scream and I would cry and I would talk to myself. I would do all sorts of things just to get out of my head and into my body. And this led to me becoming a bit more aware of my body and led to me ultimately becoming a yoga teacher, which led me down a whole other path, which if you heard my first talk, you'd know about. And I just became really passionate about being out in nature. It is such a powerful way to heal, to connect to yourself, to connect to your emotions, and it led me to some amazing adventures. So my love of walking fused with this urge I had to do lots of fundraising for various charities inspired by losing my brother. And I went to Peru and I did the West Highland Way, and that was actually inspired by my mother. I did that to fundraise for Velindre. I'm wearing a Velindre t-shirt in that photograph after doing the West Highland Way. We did 90 of the 96 miles of the West Highland Way. This was one of the maddest things I've ever done. This was a 28-mile walk, which I did in about 12 hours. I promised at the end of that I wasn't ever going to do a 12-hour hike, and then 4 months later I was doing a 12-hour hike in the Scottish Highlands, and that was beautiful. This was a beautiful place. And so my love of walking has taken me on these incredible adventures. I've seen some beautiful places, and I've got to have beautiful moments with people I love. So that's my youngest son, Marcus. He is a very reluctant walker, but occasionally I can drag him out onto the mountains. And we have some beautiful times together when he comes with me. I walk a lot with my mum. She is one of my favourite walking buddies. And this is Jane, who is sitting over there. So Jane is another passionate walker. Jane puts me to shame with the things that she does. One of the things that I love about walking is you have amazing conversations with people. These people here, I hadn't seen them for 10 years, and we went out walking together in the summer, and it was like as if we'd only seen each other the day before. It's just so easy to connect to people. This was the day after my birthday when I took myself off into the Brecon Beacons for a couple of days in the snow, and just had the best birthday being out walking and being out in nature and enjoying peace and quiet rather than trying to have a party for my birthday. And there's my beautiful dog who I love to walk with. She came into my life a few years ago, and she gets me out walking every day. And it's just, if you are looking for a way to feel good about yourself, to feel good physically, to feel good mentally, get yourself up onto a mountain and just take some of those deep breaths that was talked about earlier on. Breathe deeply, breathe in that air, And I promise you, no matter what the weather, no matter what is going on in your life, if you get out into nature, walk for a few miles, you're going to feel better at the end of it. And there has not been one day when I've gone out for a walk and come back wishing I hadn't gone for a walk. So get out and go for a good walk. Thank you very much.
Doesn't look like it, but I walk. Not as much as you. Thank you.